Hello students, today you're going to take some notes on using the scientific method. This is on page 16 in your sign bee. Go ahead, make sure you listen to everything I say and then write down everything I put down. Using the scientific method, performing a good experiment requires both the correct steps and specific knowledge about observations and inferences. So first we're going to look at the difference between an observation and an inference. An observation is a type of data recorded using your 5 senses. It would be something you can touch, taste, smell, see, or hear. Observation is objective information, meaning that you really can't argue about it, okay? If it's raining outside, everybody could look out and say, hey, yeah, it's raining. So it's objective. We don't have to read any of our own beliefs or thoughts into it. There are 2 types of observations. There are those that are made by using your 5 senses, and those would be qualitative observations. These are things that do not involve any kind of number. For example, the dog is brown, the dog has short hair. The other kind of observation is quantitative. I want you to notice that at the beginning of quantitative is the beginning of quantity. Okay, so if it's anything that involves a quantity, which would mean a number or a measurement or something like that, then it is quantitative. For example, the dog weighs 50 pounds or the dog has 4 legs. Inference is an explanation based on your observations. It is not necessarily a fact. It could be correct or it could be wrong. You're assuming something based on an observation you make. Here's a wonderful example. The dog is barking at me. Okay, that's an observation. But if you say, he must not like me, what you're doing is assuming that he doesn't like you because of the observation that you made. That is an inference. Hey, what about this? Maybe the dog barks when it's happy. Another example. The dog is happy because it's wagging its tail. Just because it's wagging its tail, does that mean it's happy? Maybe it has to go use the restroom. Inferences are not proven facts. They are your conclusions based on the observations that you have made. Scientific method steps. First, you're going to have the problem. A problem is not necessarily something that's wrong. It could be just a question you have. And so we're going to put that here. It is the first step of the scientific method. The problem is written as a question usually. You're going to make sure to include the independent and dependent variable in the problem. We're going to talk about these later. Next, you're going to have to do some research. Okay, you're going to collect some information about the topic. The most recent references, such as science magazines and journals, are excellent sources. You need to become very knowledgeable about your topic. Take notes and summarize the articles as you read. For your science fair project, you are required to do a research section. You're going to have 5 sources that will be part of your bibliography and your research section. Recommended, it is about 2 pages typed. The next thing you need to put down is going to be our educated guess or explanation. That's our hypothesis. I know this kind of bled through from the other side. Try to disregard that. Hypothesis, really a better definition, in my opinion, is a testable prediction. When you write your hypothesis, it needs to be written in an if-then format. Okay, that's something we talked about in class. Next, you're going to have experiment. The experiment part of your project is going to be where you talk about what materials you need, step-by-step details of the procedure. By the way, the details have to be so good and so detailed that anybody could read your steps of your procedure and repeat your experiment. Also, you're going to talk about your controls and your variables. You're also going to do some data collection. Usually this is where you're going to have your data tables where you collect your information. Now, all of these things so far, problem, research, hypothesis, and experiment, are part of your research plan that is going to be due on October 11th. Don't forget that. All right, underneath experiment, let's just talk about this. A is materials. Of course, it's a list of all the equipment and things that you need. You need to put specific sizes, and the sizes should all be in SI system. Meaning you wouldn't put like a 5-ounce container or anything like that. We need it to be in metrics. B would be the procedure. These are your steps that you're going to follow. Again, these need to be very detailed. C, you're going to have your controls or your variables identified. Now, in a successful experiment, you're going to have two groups. One group is the one that you are testing. It is the one, for example, let's say that you want to see if plants grow better in the sun than in the dark. You would need to put one in the sun, and that would be your experimental group. You have to compare it, though, to something. Whatever you compare it to, the untreated group, that group is called your control group, okay? Again, your control group is the untreated group. The control group provides a basis for comparison. If I say that plants grow taller when they get a Miracle-Gro, okay? Miracle-Gro is a fertilizer. And I say, hey, plants get taller if you use Miracle-Gro. All right, what if I put Miracle-Gro on all my plants? How in the world do I really know they weren't going to just grow that amount anyway? So what I would need to do is put Miracle-Gro on some of my plants. Those would be part of my experimental group. But then I would need to have some plants with no Miracle-Gro so I could have something to compare the experimental plants to. Okay, you have to have something to compare it to, and that is called the control group. All right, next page. Variables. Before I go any further, I want to just explain to you what a variable is. A variable is anything that could affect the outcome of an experiment. Let's go back to the Miracle-Gro hypothesis. If Miracle-Gro is used on plants, then the plants will grow bigger, okay? We need to think about all of the things that could affect how well plants grow. Not only Miracle-Gro fertilizer, but what about the amount of water they get, the type of soil, the type of plant, what type of